Hi, come on in.
Hi, welcome.
We're just a minute early, but if you want to say hi in the chat,
Yeah, and let us know where you're from, where you're joining us from today.
that'd be great. Great.
We love people all over the world come to
Nice.
this.
Wow, look, Italy, Ireland, Devon, Buenos Aires, Michigan, Israel. Wow,
Wow, we love it.
so nice. Netherlands, welcome, welcome. Dubai.
Dubai, wow, how
Oh,
exciting.
Ecuador, Taiwan. Ooh, I get such a nice feeling from all this.
Yes.
Hi, this is a webinar on turning anxiety into inner strength. And we're going to start by introducing ourselves.
Yes, hello. I'm Lucinda Hayden, and I'm the author of 3 Tools for Transforming Difficult Emotions and 3 Practices for Growing Presence. So I've been in private practice as a coach for over 30 years. And 20 years ago, I found focusing, and it has transformed the way that I work with my clients and myself. I'm very happy to be here with you to share more about this incredible process that has helped me so much.
Thank you. And I'm Weiser, Cornell. I've written 4 books about focusing. The first one was The Power of Focusing, and I myself found the focusing process when I was 22 years old, and the only place in the world where it was being taught was the neighborhood I happened to be living in, the Hyde Park neighborhood of Chicago, Illinois. I learned it from the guy who developed it. So I didn't have any idea at that time that teaching focusing, helping people transform their lives through emotional awareness was going to become my life's work. I just thought it was a nice thing to be learning for myself because I really needed something then. And I love sharing. I love being here with you. And Lucinda and I have been working together. Well, has it been 20 years, Lucinda?
It was 20 years ago I learned it from you, Anne,
Yeah.
and it's been 15 years since I've been working with you here at Focusing Resources to teach this process and share it with people.
And we're both here with you today because we teach together. We like complementing each other, our different strengths and energies. And because we've both had our lives so transformed by the process we're sharing with you today. So, for instance, my own journey, I've had a lot of anxiety in my life. When I first found focusing, I not only felt anxious a lot of the time, I was also not aware of how anxious I was. Now, that might seem paradoxical, but I tended to do addictions like alcohol at that time. I was in grad school. I would drink too much and I would fall in and out of love. And in social situations, I would talk way too much. And I didn't even know that all of that was driven by feelings that I didn't have any access to at all. So learning a different way of being with feelings really saved my life. And even recently, when we've had these worldwide difficult times, the COVID-19 virus and so on, the ability to be present to my feelings, to turn toward feelings of anxiety, panic, uneasiness, and be able to find a different relationship with all that, it's still a lifesaver.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And for me as well, Anne, I've been feeling the same. I'm just so grateful every day, especially here in the past 6 months or so, with all the turmoil in the world, you know, in so many areas. I thank God for focusing, that it helps me to get bigger than those places in me where I get so anxious, and that still happens. And so it's not that something in me doesn't get scared. I do, you know, and something in me worries about, you know, the state of the world and just all of the painful things that are happening. And I know how to get into my larger self where I actually am able to contribute more calm, more peace, more grounded energy to the world with everything that's going on.
It's such a good point, Lucinda. This is not, the work we're sharing with you today is not just about feeling calmer. It's also about feeling clearer.
Yes.
So that we can find grounded action that advances our lives, the lives of our families, our communities,
Right.
and the world.
That's right. That's right. Because I can get, I'm clear about what that action is. And I also have the power to take the steps necessary. And that really is thanks to focusing, because I'll share a little bit about my background as well, that I'm really a recovering kind of perfectionist I had so much anxiety when I was little. I'll share more about my background with you a little later today, but I see that it comes from, you know, just being so scared and anxious about doing the right thing and trying to be perfect. And consequently, I would overdo things. I would try too hard. I would, you know, try to plan too much and overschedule, and it was very painful. And I know it comes from not feeling good enough, you know, something in me not feeling good enough. And that has really shifted now. And so I do have that ability to know what to do without overthinking it and take action. Yeah. It's been a lifesaver.
It's been a lifesaver. And as we share our stories, we hope you're getting in touch with your story. Are you arriving here today feeling challenged by self-doubt and worry and anxiety and sadness and overwhelm and other feelings that are maybe even difficult to handle or deal with? We need our feelings. Our feelings have information and guidance for us, not if we are being taken over by our feelings. And what we want to say in this webinar that's so exciting to us is that when you have stressful feelings like anxiety, we can turn those stressful feelings into inner strength through inner relationship. And so that is a radical idea that we're very excited about. We can, because so often we think, right? People think, what am I going to do with these stressful feelings? Well, I have to set them aside. I have to get rid of them. I have to talk myself out of them. I have to distract myself so I don't feel so bad.
And breathe into them even, which comes from a great place and a good intention, but it really doesn't help or work.
When we talk about the radical acceptance of everything, what we mean is that everything you feel is capable of moving into another feeling. All feelings are on their way to something else. Why do they not change? Well, our feelings don't change because we fight them. We try to fix them. We try to solve them. So there's a whole shift here that has to do with building our ability to be an environment for our feelings where they can be as they are, but we are more than that.
Yes. Yes, we become that larger self. I am the larger me that can contain and be with all of this, but I'm not it. And that is where I find my power and my peace, really.
I can feel terrible. I can feel uneasy. I can feel worried.
Mm-hmm.
Something happened last night on television that brought up a lot of anxious feelings and
Yeah.
upset feelings in me. But
Yeah.
I can also know that with all of that happening, I am okay.
Yeah.
And we were going to show you, we're going to take you through an
Yeah.
exercise in a minute where you can feel that for yourself.
I was going to say, and like for me last night as well, watching the same thing, it's like there's waves on the sea that feel rough, but I can feel that there's something calm underneath. And so for me, I'm not taken over by the fear and the anxiety, because I can sense into, something deeper and more calm. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. We get to have our feelings. Our feelings
Mhm.
don't make us be who we are. We are bigger than our feelings. But we can talk about that all day. Let's talk about how you can do it and how you can do it right now. So let's take a moment together and have each of you sense how you are right now. And we need a little time to do that, because if you're like me, I often don't know how I'm feeling until I pause. And I need to pause and say, I'm deliberately taking a break. I'm deliberately feeling my body, because the body is a very empowering field for us to be able to know how we feel. Our bodies are such gifts to us. And when I first learned focusing, 47 years ago or however long it was, I hardly knew I had a body. Body, what body? I was like this little head going around in the world, and I don't know what it was resting on. But learning to be able to be in my body and feel my body has been such a gift, such a revelation. So let's do that together right now. Feeling your body in contact. If you're sitting, most people probably are sitting, feeling your body in contact with what you're sitting on. But you might be lying down or standing, and that's all good. That's all okay. But you can feel your body in contact. And notice often a deeper breath naturally comes. And beginning to feel in your throat and chest and stomach. And then noticing, how are you right now? How are you right now? And what's really interesting is what you feel doesn't have to be something you can name, right? I don't know how I feel. Well, but you feel something, right? And often, well, yeah, I feel this. Well, that's okay. It's okay to use the word this to point to how you feel. So how are you? How are you right now? Excuse me. It's also okay if you know how you feel. I know I feel anxious. I know I feel panicked. I know I feel angry, full of rage. If you know how you feel, that's okay too. Got it? Everybody has something that you're aware of right now, okay? You leave a little time, because it may take just a little time to know how you feel. All right? Okay, so the next step is you're going to be acknowledging how you feel using the phrase, something in me. So my example would be unsettled. I feel unsettled today after last night. Okay, I'm going to say something in me is feeling unsettled. I feel unsettled. Something in me is feeling unsettled. Trying that yourself with your own word, or if your word is this, you can say something in me is feeling this. Yeah. And then notice what happens. What difference occurs when you go, something in me. I'm sensing something in me is feeling that way. What difference happens? And you can add the words, I am sensing something in me feels that way. I am sensing something in me feels unsettled. Notice what happens. Does that make a difference? Do you sense a shift even a little bit when you say, I am sensing something in me feels? If it's a big feeling, I am sensing a big something in me, right? I'm sensing a big something in me is feeling panicked about how things are going. Okay. Right? So noticing what difference that makes when you make that move of acknowledging how you feel with the something in me language. We've got one more step. Just pausing so we can all arrive at the step we've got. Okay, one more thing here. Good for you, you got this far. You might let a gentle hand move to the place in your body where you are feeling this. And for me, it's my stomach. So I'm moving a hand to my stomach and I'm saying, I am sensing something in me feeling very unsettled. Very unsettled. Maybe it's in my throat too. Maybe I'll put my hand on my throat too. It seems like my throat wants to be acknowledged too. I'm sensing something in me feeling very unsettled. Okay, now I'm saying hello to that. Yeah, I'm saying hello to that. By the way, after I said hello to a feeling in my throat, I haven't been having the same throat tightness. This stuff really works. So I'm saying to it, I say hello to you. And I am here with you now. So say to my own feeling, I am here with you now. Saying to my own feeling, I am here with you now. We're going to talk later about why we're doing this. We wanted you to experience it first. I'm sensing something in me feeling unsettled. I'm saying hello to it. And I'm saying to it, I am here with you now. So just letting that in, letting yourself be aware of any change that occurs. How it all feels now. Mine feels different. A little more relaxed. Very good. All right. So we'll bring this exercise to a gentle completion. Curious how that was for you. Did you do it, Lucinda?
I did. And even as well as I know this exercise, it helped so much in this moment to,
What kind of help? What kind of help was that? How did that feel?
Yeah, it just felt really good to those parts to be acknowledged because they are there and they are worried, you know?
Yes.
And that helped me feel bigger. I felt myself move into that larger space.
Oh,
And it really helped to have my hand giving comfort, like the comfort of my larger presence to those
wow.
parts so that they're not alone
Great.
with what they're feeling.
Wow. Wow. Very nice.
Yeah.
Some people are telling us how that felt to them.
Mm-hmm.
Haja says, I'm sensing something in me is feeling vulnerable and unprotected. And then the hand and a big sigh. Aw.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
Stefania writes, it feels like caring for myself. Isn't that great that we are caring for ourselves? Self-love, self-kindness is such a healing process, such a great thing to give to ourselves in hard times.
Mm-hmm.
And a question from Anita, how important it is to label the actual feeling? It's not that important. No. You can call it this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sensing this. Oh, yeah. If the label is there, if the name for the feeling is there, that's fine. And if not, that's fine too. Yeah. Pedro writes, I'm feeling happy. Well, I wouldn't call that a stressful feeling, but you could still acknowledge the happy and pause and enjoy it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Happy's welcome too.
That's right. That's right. And Johanna wrote, I'm feeling something in me zinging with tension. That sounds so vivid. Yeah. And I support this with a hand on my chest. Beautiful. Beautiful. And Sarah writes, I feel something in me feeling obsessed. Yeah. If that fits, that is it. Yeah, I sense something in me feeling obsessed. I say hello to that. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Very nice.
Bridget has oh no, yeah, what Bridget was saying. I can't read all of the questions here, Anne.
Oh, you can't read it? Okay, I'll go ahead.
I could only see half of them.
Bridget writes, my sadness part was getting angry at me, saying, why did you leave me alone for so long? Oh, yes. I would just respond by saying, I understand you wish I had been here sooner. Yeah. Isn't that a beautiful moment, though, when we realize, oh, that part of us wishes we had been here sooner. It's another way to say that it's glad you're here, along with communicating the sadness.
Yeah, and this is really about the relationship that we're talking about. That now you are here, and I probably mispronounced your name. It's probably Birgit, and so now you are here, Birgit. You are here with that part.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. It's like a homecoming. It's like two lovers who've been separated and can finally be together. Yeah. Yes. How nice. And it is true that for many people, when they begin coming into the body, being reconnected with feelings that they've been separated from for a long time, there is that feeling of, oh, where have you been?
Yes. I have chills.
Yeah.
I love this. Yes.
It's really beautiful. Yes. So what is this bigger self that you started to experience in this exercise?
So yes, this larger self is really who you really are. You know, this is our essence. It is what we call self in presence. So it is our ability to be who we are in our natural state, really, without the parts that can arise from various experiences that we have, and they kind of shrink our energy. You know, it's like if you can see my hand, they bring us in, and in some ways make us smaller than who we really are. And so what we're doing here is by being with, as many of you in the chat are saying you were able to do, we're being with that part. And by doing that, not really by doing anything, just by being with it from this larger place of compassionate understanding and empathy, that part itself, the energy that gets stuck there, can start to open up and release, and it goes back to us. We move into this larger self. And so it really happens not by doing something or trying to get rid of those parts, because our essential energy is in those parts. So as we can be with it with no judgment, just welcome, and that energy releases, we become bigger. Yes.
It's so interesting because it's really a radically different view. So many of us think, as I did before I met this method, I have to figure out, come up with solutions, fix myself somehow. Joanna was just writing, I can just describe the feeling to myself without having to figure out what is this about. That's right.
Yes.
Right. That's exactly right. The essence is to be present to how it feels and to be the environment of acceptance for how it feels. And then within the environment of acceptance, movement happens, things change. And it's not only just feeling how it feels, we add to that the element of empathy. Empathy is an amazing skill. In fact, I don't know if I told you this, Lucinda, but I was thinking recently that the two essential ingredients to really changing the world into a world where we can all be safe and empowered are empathy and being able to stand difficult feelings. And they're both essential parts of this process, because when people cannot stand the feelings they have, they do crazy, hurtful things.
That's right. Yes, yes, that is the key. Yeah, and that move into our larger self is where we are able to find the empathy and stand it, because it's no longer, we're not on the level of having the feeling and then another part not standing it. We've made that move into the larger
Such a good point.
self.
Exactly. In other words, if you feel like I can't empathize with this feeling, I don't like it, well, but that is something else you can also empathize with. So I feel angry and panicked, and I also feel like I can't accept that. I don't like it. Okay, then I'm here able to have both of these. Something in me this, something in me that, and I'm here with both.
Yeah, and it's that very move of being able to acknowledge these parts that helps us move up into that larger self. And I love what Einstein said about that we can't solve a problem at the same level of consciousness that created it.
Yeah, exactly.
And so for me, focusing is about that move up into that larger level where we really can shift things, shift our personal problems, and also help to shift the world's problems.
Right. And someone writes in the chat, sometimes it's hard to believe or see that there's a larger self. It feels hard to activate it.
Yeah.
Well, it does take practice, and there are tips for cultivating it. And sometimes it's the language itself that takes you there.
Yes. Yes, that's the brilliance of this language. In the exercise that Anne led a moment ago, did you notice that shift when you said, I feel, and whatever your word was for Anne, unsettled, when you just changed the words to something in me and then to I'm sensing something in me that feels, did you feel a difference? Because if you did there, that's an example of how powerful the words are, and that just a simple shift in the language can really help you find your larger self.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have to do some great hard journey to find our larger self. It's right here, as Lucinda
Yes.
said, it's who we already are, really.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And it takes some practice, but it doesn't really take that long. You know, it starts with the awareness of it, that there is a larger self, and that the language is a powerful and simple way to get there, and then to practice that for a while. And so, yeah, it you know, they say it takes about, somewhere between 3 to 6 weeks to create a habit.
Mm-hmm.
And so by dedicating some time to that, then you begin to build the neural pathways, really, to know how to get into your larger self. And Anne and I are not saying you never get merged with these feelings, because we do.
We still do.
We still
It's
do.
not a matter of being perfect at it. It's a matter
No,
of being able to do it more and more.
more and more. And that's where the practice comes in, and the awareness, the understanding that, there is a larger self. Yeah.
And what you're saying now, Lucinda, helps answer one of the questions I see in the chat, which is, sure, we can do that when we're pausing and have time, but can we do it in the middle of a situation that's evoking it?
Yeah, I can more now. In the beginning, I couldn't right in the middle of a heated moment. I think the difference for me is that before I knew focusing, I would get stuck in being merged with a painful feeling. And then as I learned focusing, and the more that I practiced it, then I knew that even in the moment, that feeling is not me. It's not all of who I am. It's not my larger self. And so I could catch it and shift it sooner and sooner.
Mm-hmm.
I like to think of it as being like a buoy on the ocean, where I might get knocked over, but I come right back.
We bob up again. That's right. Yeah. Sooner, easier. And then, if I realize a day later, oh, I really lost my sense of self and presence in that conversation. But then maybe after you practice more, you'll realize an hour later. And then you'll realize 5 minutes later.
Exactly.
So sooner.
And I also notice that it doesn't happen as much.
No.
So there's that too. Yeah.
Right.
That we're talking about when it's something really heated. But things that I know in the past, when I look back 20 years ago, things that bothered me so much, and I told you how anxious I was and trying to be perfect. I don't even feel that most of the time now.
Yeah. These processes do bring lasting change. These are not temporary changes. Learning this process and practicing it changes a lot in your life for the better. That's been our experience and the experience of people we've worked with. There's a question from Stefania. Do we need to get detached from the feeling to get bigger and embrace them? No, those are the same process.
Yeah.
It is when you say, I am sensing something in me feels, that's the same process as getting bigger. They happen together. That's what's so amazing.
Yes, and it's not really like we're detaching from it. Words are important, so the kind of feel of that word detach feels like creating distance. We're actually getting bigger so that we can be with.
Yeah.
As I think someone else shared, that it's not detaching, it's coming into relationship. But we can't come into relationship if we're merged with it. If it's us, we have to get a little bigger so that we can bring the support and comfort of our larger presence to that part, to that feeling.
Exactly. It's not about distance, it's about relationship. And every human being knows in their DNA how to be in relationship. We're born in relationship.
Yes.
And when we see a baby animal, a baby lamb or a puppy or a kitten, our hearts expand unless we've been hurt somehow. and that didn't, and that ability got shut down for us.
Mhm.
And that, so we can feel toward our own selves that same kind of expanding heart that we can see toward a young animal.
And you know, many processes talk about loving yourself. They say love yourself, but many of them don't say how to do that. And I didn't know, you know, for many years before, I was always interested in self-development and psychology and all of that. And I would think, how, you know, how, I don't know how to love myself until I found focusing.
Yes.
And focusing really shows us it showed me in very concrete ways that I could understand and then practice and apply how to love myself.
Well, we're going to come back and talk more about loving yourself, because one of the things that challenges self-love is having an inner critic inside, the one that tells you you're no good and so on.
Mhm.
But we want to take some time right now, because we know some people are on this call to hear more about our Path to Lasting Change program. And so we're going to just let you know, because of all the things we're telling you today, and we're going to tell you as much as we can, there's so much more we can share with you that can support you even more in the Path to Lasting Change course. We teach it together. We are the teachers of the Path to Lasting Change Part 1. It is a live Zoom course. So it's not like a video course that you watch on your own time. We're there live.
Yeah.
In the Zoom room with you and the other people in the course and the assistants in the course. It's 2 hours a week for 9 weeks is Part 1. We are showing you the whole process of inner relationship focusing, starting with step 1, making sure you get each step so that you can feel these changes reverberating in your life. And in addition to that, we teach you focusing partnership, being able to do this process with another person. The people you'll meet in the course are your ideal focusing partners.
Yes.
That means it really becomes a part of your life. It doesn't become one of those good ideas that I know I should do that, but I never get around to it. Because when you've got another person to meet with, then you do it.
Yeah, you show up and you actually practice. And the beauty of this is that that's where you find your long-term focusing partners, or you can find, many people do find it in their beginning focusing class that they have for years. And then that is free. You know, that's between you and the person, or many people have more than one. And so it's a way that you can really have this process, really, you know, learn it and have it in your bones and your being.
Right, absolutely. Yes. So if you have a question about the course, you can pop it at the end of the chat. I've got to move to the end of I know there's other great questions in the chat. But
and I want to say something. Now. And part of the course is you get a session with me as part of the course. That's included in the course.
Oh, there's so much that's included. A 50-minute session with Lucinda where she'll help you get connected with the course materials and also take you through a private focusing process.
Yeah, so that you have the experience of it before going into the class where you learn how to do it for yourself. You have the experience of it with me that I guide you into, you know, your larger self, all this stuff we're talking about, you know, and with the parts that, you know, are struggling. So yeah, you get to start out that way.
Very nice. Yeah, you do need to be there. It's not a course you can take by listening to recordings. Other than that, it's pretty easy. Show up and do the exercises, do the partnerships. There's some readings, there's some videos. But most of all, though, we are so passionate about introducing people and helping them move into this whole way of being that we really, it's very hands-on. We're really there for you.
Yeah, very interactive. We're there to answer your questions and you get to know the other people in the class, you know. So we do many different things in the class for all different ways of learning. You know, we cover it And because we know people learn differently, and yeah, so it's the best way to learn it, learning it in this live interactive kind of way. I mean, Anne's written, many great books, and I've written some books, but the way to learn it is in person with us in this interactive format.
I think we have the best program in the world, partly because we've been refining it and working on it for so long, and we are both teachers.
Yes.
Right? I mean, yes, Lucinda is a therapist and I'm a focusing facilitator, but we're really teachers at heart. And that means we help each person go from where they are to where they need to be. Okay, so there's a question about people struggling with complex trauma that several people would like us to answer.
Mm-hmm.
And complex trauma is a serious thing. And we actually have many students who have complex trauma in their history. Mm-hmm. Focusing is safe for that because we're not just saying, go feel your feelings, go feel your body. That might not be safe. That's not a good idea if your trauma is easily activated. But instead, we start by teaching self in presence. And as you build your ability to be that larger self, one thing you cultivate is how to stop when it's too much.
Right. Right, and we love to say we can only go as fast as our slowest part. And parts that have been traumatized need to go very slowly. We need to go very gently. And at the same time, building that larger self then brings that sense of safety to those parts so that when they're ready, then they can begin to heal at their own pace.
And somebody's asking about different kinds. Yes, it's true of all kinds of trauma. Mm-hmm. I will say this about trauma. From my model of trauma is that it was a failure of a relationship to provide a safe place for you. Maybe many relationships, maybe more than one relationship, but it's somehow trauma happens when there's a relational failure. Mm-hmm. That's why learning to be a kind, empathic, strong, resilient presence for yourself in the company of others is a healing process for trauma. So this is actually a process that many people have found is a trauma healing process. It's not just safe, it's also healing for things like that. Yes. Yeah. Christina says, the focusing partner part concerns a shy, introverted part of me. The introverted part feels I won't be good at helping the other. And I would just say that being a focusing partner isn't about helping the other. It's actually a very, very simple ability to be present as yourself. You don't learn any counseling skills. You just are present and you learn to say back some of their words.
Yeah, it's more about just holding the space for the other person so that they can do their own healing work by learning how to take themselves through the focusing process. And so even for those of you who might be healing professionals who do want to learn it as far as helping others, we still recommend you learn it for yourself first so that you embody the practice. And it can be a relief for those of you who are used to trying to help others in this course to not have to worry about that.
Don't help.
Don't help. We tell you many times, don't help the other person. You practice being there and listening as this safe presence.
Yeah.
And that's enough. That's enough. In fact, that's more. That's better.
It's not hard, because the hardest
right.
person to be present with is yourself.
Right.
So you can, much easier to be present for another person.
Yes.
And then Christina also asks, maybe you can address this, Lucinda. I don't want to share everything about myself with someone I don't know.
Right, of course. And the beauty of focusing is that you don't have to. You don't have to say what things are about, because it's not about telling the other person. You're not telling them your story or explaining anything to them, because as we just said, they're just holding this space for you, this larger compassionate space. And so you can keep everything that you want to as private as you want, and because you know what you're focusing with, and they don't need to understand. So you can go at your own pace with that. And if you want to share with the other person, you certainly can.
Yeah, it's confidential and all of those things.
Yeah.
But it's really an inner relationship. So
Yeah.
for instance, I might say, I've got a tightness and I know what it's about, and I'm saying hello to it. You see, I don't have to say what it's about to my focusing partner. I didn't, yeah. So, and then there was one more question from Christina. Do the focusing sessions take place during class or outside of it? Both.
Both, yeah.
Yeah.
And we do a short practice in class, so that then we can bring you back to the main room. We put you in breakout rooms, and then we bring you back to the main room to address any questions, to clarify. Then you practice with that same person one more time during the week that you arrange between yourselves.
Very good. All right, let's talk a bit about self-doubt, inner criticism, these big challenges to our ability to be kind to ourselves.
Yeah, and I mentioned that I would share with you a little more of my background about how I became so anxious and worried and trying to be perfect. And that was really because I grew up with, as the only child of a very critical, controlling mother. And so I was always trying to figure out, how to please her, and so that I could be okay, so that I could feel like I was good enough, which of course I never could, because it was never about that. Now I understand. It was her way of trying to control me, really. But that was the message that I took to heart as a small child, that there was something wrong with me, that I wasn't good enough. And so I see that now, looking back on it, that's how something in me became so anxious and worried and kind of trying to please. And that has really transformed now. I don't worry about it. I know that I am fine and good enough, and more than that, wonderful at, at what I do and who I am. I celebrate my life and who I am now, and I can feel that from my whole self. And that, to me, was how I learned to love myself, or that is the example of loving myself, really valuing who I am and overcoming, that early kind of childhood programming and worries. So it's just been such a relief. And I'm so grateful to this process.
Absolutely.
And so happy to share it with other people.
We love sharing this because to have a harsh inner critic that we carry around in our heads, for me, it would be, I'd make a mistake, and then that would somehow be the end of the world, like stupid. And I'd feel hot and embarrassed and like I couldn't be around other people. For these things to change is so huge. And I think it's tragic, because it turns out that your inner critic loves you.
Yes.
This is the most tragic love story on earth.
Yes.
Your inner critic loves you, but it is behaving in a way where it's doomed to feel to you like it doesn't love you. And here's what we would suggest. So if you have an inner critic, and some of you have mentioned in the chat that you do, and it's maybe especially comes up around your stressful feelings, like what's wrong with me that I feel so panicky, or I shouldn't be getting so upset about this, right? Those are should and shouldn't. That's inner critic talk as well. Well, take a sentence that your critic says to you, like, I'm never going to learn this, or I'm hopeless, or you're hopeless, or you shouldn't be so upset, or something like that. All right? Pausing so people can get one. And then use the language of something in me with a slight difference. Okay, I'm going to use the example, you're stupid. So something in me says I'm stupid for making that mistake. So something in me says. We add the word says. Okay, next, I'm saying hello to that. Now, you might not feel it in your body because inner critics are often experienced up around the head, outside our body. That's okay. But I'm saying hello to the one in me that says I'm stupid for making that mistake. And now, and here's the real magic, I'm saying hello, and then I'm saying, oh, might you be worried about something? Might you be worried about something? And then very often I begin to feel the vulnerability of the part of me that was criticizing me. How worried that part of me is. Maybe that other people will see my mistake and think badly of me, or that I'll get attacked or blamed or rejected or abandoned. I start to feel the vulnerability of the part of me that was attacking me and actually is trying to protect me by saying those harsh things. And then it relaxes and it starts to release. It starts to shift into something I can actually feel does care and love about me. And it doesn't happen from doing it just once.
Yes, it does take a while. Yeah, it's almost like it's preemptively trying to prevent, like for me with my mother, it was trying to protect me from her judging me and criticizing. So it wants to criticize me first. Yeah. And once I was able to realize that it was trying to help me be loved, really, that's what it wanted for me. And then that aspect of me itself, that part, I could start to feel how it was trying to help and protect me. And that's an example of love.
It's not an intellectual process.
No.
Someone wrote in the chat, how can you make someone see that the inner critic loves them? You can't. That's just an idea.
Yeah.
It's the process itself,
Yeah.
of the way we treat an inner critic when it comes. So show somebody the process that we've shown you today. Something in me says, I'm saying hello to that. I'm saying, might you be worried about something? Just that much. To understand that that part of you is doing that because it might be worried, it goes a long way toward being able to shift us out of feeling like the critic's victims. You remember self in presence? Often when we have an inner critic, we start identifying with, merging with the one who feels bad about being criticized. And so I say hello to something in me feeling bad about being criticized. I say hello to the inner critic, and I'm not either one of them. I'm not the criticized one anymore. I'm present for both. We expand to include rather than pushing out or getting rid of anything. Yes, so nice. Wow. Was there more we wanted to say? I know we still have time. we were saying, did we say why radical acceptance of your stressful feelings builds your ability to be calm? Yeah, I think we did. We said that. Yeah. Let's see what people are saying in the chat. Noor writes, I struggle from a more aware place now of how my relationship with my partner of 11 years has not been safe. Yeah, wow. I feel judgment of myself for not being interested to be intimate now, or for having some indifference after all these years. It suddenly creates a huge shift in me. Yes, yes.
Yeah.
It's a journey. It's a journey, but you are on the path of that journey, Noor. Yeah.
Yes.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
And I see that Thea asks, I can read this one.
Okay.
Thea says, is it too hard to be present for more than one thing at a time? No, fortunately, because usually more than one thing at a time shows up.
Right.
That's more
Right.
common than one.
We can have more than one. Oh, I'm saying hello to this, and I'm saying hello to this, saying hello to tightness in my stomach and tension in my throat. I'm saying hello to sadness and something that's sick of being sad. As self in presence, we're the big space. We have space for everything.
Yes.
Yay. Yeah. So let's summarize what we've been saying today. We've been talking about the power of self in presence. We've been talking about how when you have stressful feelings, they actually help you get bigger than them.
Yes,
Wild
they
idea.
help you do that.
Yeah, yeah. If you do what we're suggesting, which is pause and turn toward what you're feeling. I am sensing something in me. And you can name it with a label, you can name it with a body sensation like tight or tense, or you can just call it this. And it's, now you are there with that. I let my gentle hand go there. I say hello to it. I let it know I'm with it. There's a relationship that's created. Now there's more to the process than that. That's what we teach in our course, is there's a lot of steps, but this is the beginning.
Yeah.
And the further steps include being able to listen more deeply to, well, what is it that bothers me so much? Or what is it that's made it hard for me to speak out about myself in my relationship? I can learn from that part of me. I can get to know it better.
Yeah, and by doing that, things become more clear. Because for me, before I knew focusing, I just had all these feelings that were this kind of amorphous mass of things that tortured me from inside. And I didn't understand them. I didn't know how to be with them or even what they were about.
Yeah.
And so developing this ability to come into my larger self and then listen to all of the different parts that show up, and to have the process, the method of how to listen to them, and kind of what to listen for, just all that helped me to understand how each of these aspects of me were showing up to contribute something helpful, something positive, like Anne was talking about with the critic. It's based on the premise that everything is trying to help us in its own way, but from a limited point of view. And so if we are on that level, then that's how they start fighting. And as we are able to listen from that larger perspective, where it's like, oh, I see how you're trying to help, and I see how you're trying to help too, then each of them, and often the ways that they're trying to help underneath it all, are very compatible and often complementary. Like something might be trying to help me feel safe, and something else might be wanting me to expand and maybe take a risk. And so those two things, safe and taking a risk, expanding, work together in me. It grounds me and balances me so that I can really know from my larger self what is my next right step. It's helped me to become clear about how to move forward in my life to really have the life that I want, and fulfill my purpose here using all of my gifts and talents. And yeah.
We don't have to have inner conflict.
Right. Right.
Have an
this
integration.
showed me, yeah, it showed how. Yeah, I mean,
Yes.
that to me is the brilliance of this. It really showed me how to do that.
Well, Lucinda, I know you don't mind that I just put your email address in the chat.
Good. I'm glad. I'm glad. I was going to say that. I was going to say if anybody wants to talk to me about this, because, as I said, the first step in the course is to have a session with me. So if you have any questions about the process, something maybe that you'd rather talk about privately, you can email me.
Yeah, and me too.
Mm-hmm.
Lucinda@focusingresources.com and at focusingresources.com. And I also put the link to the course itself. And we hope we've given you a lot that can help you, whether or not you decide you'd like to take our course. Thank you so much to everybody who's been contributing by your listening and also talking in the chat. Wonderful. So nice to be with you. They say the hour went so quickly. Oh, good. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Yes, yes. And
such a pleasure.
Thank you so much. I'm seeing names passing. Hello to someone in Buenos Aires. Hello.
Yay.
I love Buenos Aires. Yes.
All right. Take care, everybody.
Bye-bye.
One way or another.
Yes, thank you. Hope to talk to you soon. Bye-bye.